Good afternoon and welcome to the Ucommerce 9.4 release webinar. Today we're looking at the next version of Ucommerce. I'm Søren Spelling Lund, the founder of Ucommerce, and joining me today are a few of my wonderful colleagues, Adina and Anna, who set all this up from the marketing side of things, and David and Espen from the product team, who will show you some of the new capabilities of Ucommerce 9.4. We also have a mystery guest who will join us a little later on through the webinar to make a surprise announcement for you. So before we get started, let me just take you through the agenda for today and a few housekeeping topics. So first, a little practical info. How do you ask questions, things like that. Then we'll look at the pillars of Ucommerce 9.4, multi-channel, search, and scalability. We will have the special appearance, and then at the end, I will come back to you and talk a little bit about the short-term roadmap and the future journey of Ucommerce, so the longer perspective of where Ucommerce is heading. You'll definitely want to stick around for that one. There's some awesome stuff in store for you there. But before we get into the meat of things, let's take a look at the practical information. So the webinar is being recorded. You will have had a notification about that. By default, we will not be able to hear you and your camera will be off, just to make sure that everything goes through as clearly as possible. It's possible to ask questions, and please do as the various presenters go through their slides and messages. The way you do it is simply by using the QA button there in the Zoom panel. Hit that thing, type your question, and we will be monitoring the QA for you and answer your questions either via chat or live at the end of each segment. So at the end of each segment, we'll sort of stop and follow up on the questions you have and make sure that we cover as much ground as possible. So let's take a look at the pillars of Ucommerce 9.4. We decided to work on three separate areas of Ucommerce. First, we wanted to look at multi-channel capabilities of Ucommerce. We'll actually get back to that later in the webinar as well. Then new search capabilities in the backend, and finally, awesome new enterprise scalability for Ucommerce. So let's dive into the multi-channel aspect. So over the years, e-commerce has matured to become more than just one channel. Today, it's pretty common for an e-commerce solution to cover multiple channels. It has been like this for a while. And of course, Ucommerce has always been able to do multi-channel setups. However, for 9.4, we decided to invest in making it even better for you, and that's what we're here to show you today. So before we do that, let's cover some of the multi-channel scenarios that we've seen over the years that you probably be working with today as well. So there are numerous covering B2C and B2B and direct to consumer. So in classic B2B scenarios, operating multiple stores in a multi-trading partner scenario, super classic B2B scenario, and of course we need to support that. Basically having one store per trading partner, which enables you to differentiate the products made available, the pricing, the settings per channel, and other things. Direct to consumer is something that's been up and coming for a while in B2B. So basically manufacturers and distributors going direct to consumer, and to enable to embody that within the e-commerce solution, you need both your B2B channels for your trading partners, as well as additional B2C channels to directly target consumers. Then there's the classic multi-channel scenario. You know, you're an e-commerce merchant, you want to do business across multiple markets, but each of these markets are different. So you need, again, different products, different taxation, different pricing, currencies, things like that. And setting up a store for each market is a classic way of addressing that. And there are multiple other scenarios that span the world of B2B and B2C. So what we did with Ucommerce 9.4 is that we're introducing a new stores app to make it much easier to operate all these channels within the platform and also support many more channels than before. And we're joined today by Espen Kvorning, lead front-end developer at Ucommerce, and he's going to take us through the new multi-channel capabilities and the new stores app. Over to you, Espen.
Great, thank you, Søren. Let's see if I can share my screen. Right. So before we get started on what Condo actually, what the new stores app does, I would quickly like to just talk about this term that we throw around quite a bit, which is Condo. You're going to hear it a bit through this presentation, so I would just like to either repeat for people that have heard it before, or just bring out for people that haven't heard of it before. So Condo is a guiding set of principles that we're applying to this progressive UI UX overhaul that we're doing to the Ucommerce back office. It means that we're doing things like just improving the visuals of the back office, but also improving the user experience by implementing things like undo functionality, autosave, and things like this. So far, we have addressed the dashboard application, the catalogs app, the products app, and now also the stores app. So with that out of the way, let's talk a bit about the new stores app. Before we get into where we ended, let's just have a look at why we needed it. As Søren mentioned, there's a lot of B2B scenarios or multi-channel scenarios where you can end up with having a lot of stores. We're talking sometimes up to 1,000, if not more. And even though the previous version of the stores app did support multi-channel, it didn't do it very well when it came to things like navigation and performance. So what we've done is obviously we've improved the look and feel of the UI, and we've also ensured that it adheres to content principles by making sure that whenever you are exiting an input field, it's automatically saved, and the change that you made can also be undone. But most importantly, we've made it faster and easier to navigate. We've done this by introducing a search bar. This will appear if you have more than 4 stores in your setup. We've also improved performance by paginating the list of stores. Previously, we would fetch all the stores up front, which, as you can imagine, if you have upwards of 1,000 stores, could be a bit heavy at times. So instead of talking, let's try and actually do a demo of this. Before we dive into how it looks, I'm just quickly going to try and show you how a scenario could be if you had, in this case, close to 600 stores. Going to open the stores app, and here we have the list, right? I just manually have to browse through all of them. If I wanted to find a particular store, let's say music, I would use the built-in search functionality of the browser. Not exactly optimal. This scenario here was loading very, very fast, but we've experienced sometimes that it could be fairly sluggish. So let's try and have a look at how it's going to be from 9.4. This is it. The stores list have been moved from the left-hand sidebar into the main area. And you now have a search field where you can search for, let's say, grocery. And we have lazy loading of the list. Obviously, we also have lazy loading of the entire list of stores. So let's take it one step further and try and create a new store. We're going to click the new button. I've gone ahead and created a store definition for this fictive acmestore.com. I'll call it acmestore.com. The fields that you're presented with here should be fairly familiar to you if you're used to the old stores app. We have a multi-channel section, we have a customer section, then we have a basic information section. And all of the fields below here are the ones that are custom for your store definition. Obviously, I can click and jump straight to a field that I want to edit. There's one problem with this setup. Obviously, any store needs a fax machine. So let's try and quickly set up a field. It's called fax. And let's make it a required short text field because, well, they all need it, don't they? Oops. So I want to find my Acme store. Previously, I would have to traverse the list, but obviously now I can just search for it, which is a lot faster. And I can scroll to the fax field, or I could jump straight to it here. It's a required field, so if I enter a number here, I can't undo it in the first time around because I can't undo it back to null. Second time around, I can undo the value. And that was basically the new Stores app explained in a very, very short amount of time. I really hope that you will enjoy it. And I'm now going to pass the word back to Søren. Speak to you soon.
Thank you for that, Esben. I think you're really going to love the new Stores app. It's just, it's a simple thing, but it makes everything much faster to work with, and it's just something that needs to be in order, especially as we're moving into bigger and bigger scenarios. So the new Stores app supports up to 2048 separate channels, so you can do lots and lots of stores if you want. We aim to raise this limit in the future, but for now we think it'll be enough. It also supports independent channel configuration. So like the very apropos facts field, which you very commonly use in e-commerce, that would be one example of things that you could set up, or custom groups and fields and things like that. It supports efficient workflow, simplified look and feel, and it is incredibly fast. Okay, so let's take a look at the next capability of Ucommerce 9.4, and that is search. So when we originally built Ucommerce 9.0 and shipped that last year, we actually we sort of had lots of UX research done to figure out what is the best way of navigating catalogs. Is it search? Is it browsing through the catalog? Or is it both? So it turned out that there wasn't one clear answer for this question. It wasn't either or. It turned out that some preferred browsing through the catalog, others preferred searching the catalog. So in the initial version of Ucommerce, we shipped the catalog builder, which is this piece up here to the right. So basically a reimagined way of navigating a catalog, which unifies a lot of the UX capabilities that we need into one. So you can reorder categories and catalogs. You can move categories from one place to another inside the structure, and you can create new catalog structures really quickly. So whenever we demo this feature, it gets a lot of kudos. So I feel like we did a good job on this. But the challenge is that e-commerce can have so many products in there that it can be cumbersome to find and navigate through a catalog structure if you don't quite know where to find the products. And so with Ucommerce 9.4, we decided to do something about it. So with 9.4, we're introducing a new product search capability in addition to the catalog navigation that's already present. So you can basically pick and choose from one and the other. And I'd like to invite Esben back to demo the new product search capability so you can see how that works in practice. Over to you, Esben.
Thank you, Søren. Okay. So the new product search, like before with the Stores app, let's just quickly try and figure out why we needed to do this. Well, first of all, the UI, the previous UI looked and felt very dated. And the product search feature didn't really belong in the Stores app. It's dealing with products. There was also another issue, which was that it was overly complex. There was a lot of fields that most of the time you wouldn't actually fill out. We've also experienced sometimes that performance could be a bit bad when it came to traversing a list of search results. And it would only show but it would show 8 predetermined product fields. So if you wanted to see in your list of search results, you wanted to see a particular price group or something else, you wouldn't be able to do that. You would have to click the result and find the price group there. So what we've done is, obviously, we have created a new UI that follows the control principles that I mentioned earlier. We've moved the product search from the Stores app to the Products app. We've simplified the search experience by just implementing an omni search bar. We've also increased the performance by using a paginated list of results instead of just returning all the results at once. And you can now configure the amount of fields that you want to show in the list of search results. Oh, yes. And there's an added bonus, which is that you can also create orphan products. That would be products that that don't exist in a particular store or category, but they will still show up in the search index. You could do that before, but now it's a lot easier. So let's try and do a little demo. Right. So before we get started, let's have a look at how it used to be. First of all, the product search feature was located at the very bottom of the list of stores. That wasn't exactly great, speaking of multi-channel, when you had 600 stores. You would have to scroll quite far to get to it, and it's down here. Right. So I'll search for shirts. And I have a list that's just slowly rendering. There we go. Okay. So as you can see, we're dealing here with the 8 predetermined columns. And if I wanted to see a price group, that wouldn't be possible. So let's try and have a look at the current implementation. I go to the Products app. And the first thing you'll see is that the builder that Søren mentioned earlier has now been replaced with a search feature. The builder is still available if you go to the Navigate tab up here. It's just as you're used to. But the search feature is the one we have to focus on now. So let's try again and search for shirt. Again, I lazy load the list of results. And as mentioned, if I want to get a particular price group, I can toggle them here and show them in the list. Oops. As with any of our lists, you can sort you can rearrange the columns to whatever you feel is best for you. And obviously you can also sort on the columns. Just to quickly show how you would create an orphan product, it's basically a matter of just clicking the new button within the search feature. Any product created from here will not exist in a particular store or a category. Previously, what you would have to do is you would have to create the product in a category and then remove it from that category afterwards. That would be a bit cumbersome. And that was all I had for now. I'm going to pass the word back to Søren. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jesper. Quick reminder, if you have questions, do use the QA button to ask those questions. We're keeping an eye on it, just in case. The team has worked really hard on bringing this new navigation paradigm to you, so you can search or navigate to the product that you want really efficiently. We realized that Ucommerce is a tool that used day in and day out by digital merchants, and efficient navigation is a cornerstone of getting your job done. So that's the new product for search feature. It introduces an additional catalog navigation mode. You can pick and choose between navigating a catalog or searching. It is an omni search capability, so much more in line with what you would expect from a search capability of 2021. And of course, it retains the ability to customize search results. So you can add the fields you want if you have multiple price points, media, things like that, whatever makes sense for you. And of course, the customized search result is saved. So you will have the same fields the next time that you go into the same search result. So those are the new customer-facing features. They are basically there to help you get more stuff done within the platform. And there is a question for you, Esben, within here. Shirt asks, is the new UI performance completely compatible with Apple MacBook and Safari browser?
That's a good question. And of course they are. Even though Safari is a bit unpopular these days in the front-end development community, obviously we still support it, for sure.
Excellent, thank you for that. And David asks, any notes on migration, especially regarding breaking changes in API? I think we will hold off on answering that question for the other David who's coming on momentarily to talk about scalability and the improved the improved search capabilities we have. So stick around for that one, David. Thank you very much for that, Esben. Let's take a look at the third pillar of Ucommerce 9.4, and that is scalability. The idea here, as you know, performance is a feature of e-commerce. How fast you're able to convert a customer makes a real difference between making a sale or not. And so with Ucommerce 9.0, we shipped a new technology called Bolt, which is the new commerce API of Ucommerce, which was designed to deliver super snappy and fast results to customers by basically taking all the flexible information within the e-commerce platform, indexing it to a search engine, and then making it available for the website. Now, we showed you really quick load times and things like that back in April of last year. And the solution here was based on Lucene, which is a great option for rolling out simply with zero-touch deployment. It's just a file on a file system. Lucene works, and it's super easy to leverage. However, the challenge with the existing provider based on Lucene is that it only works on one machine, and so it does not offer really any form of scalability when you want to scale out across multiple servers and thus service a higher load of customers. So with Ucommerce 9.4, we're introducing a new provider for Bolt, which works in addition to the Lucene provider, which is based on Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch is a industry standard search engine which provides enterprise search capabilities, as well as the ability to run on multiple servers, and thus enabling you to scale across many instances for your e-commerce solution. It has the added benefit of enabling you to scale independently of whatever CMS you're running in. So the benefit of that is that for Umbraco, for example, if you're hosting a website on Umbraco Cloud, it doesn't have any inherent capability to run on multiple boxes in that particular mode. So you would be limited to one box. But with Ucommerce 9.4 and the Elasticsearch provider, you will now be able to scale out of band from Umbraco Cloud, so you can actually have multiple instances supporting your e-commerce portion of your website and have Umbraco work on Umbraco Cloud like you used to. For a CMS like Sitecore, it means that we're no longer scaling, we're no longer requiring additional Sitecore licenses to scale with Sitecore. So you can actually scale without purchasing additional Sitecore licenses, which significantly reduce cost on the Sitecore license side. And for Sitefinity, it means that we're working within their cloud environments and for their multi-scaling as well, no problem. And best of all, Elasticsearch is what we call opt-in complexity. So you do not have to use it until you need it. With just a reconfiguration of your website, you can switch over from Lucene to Elasticsearch. Your queries will continue to work. No code changes no code changes required. Once you switch over, you re-index and you're able to run on top of the new search engine. And when you need it, you can scale out to multiple boxes to basically get to where you need to go. And Elasticsearch offers multiple different ways of doing this. And David will talk more about that in a moment. So that's Elasticsearch, and here to show off Elasticsearch and talk a little bit more in detail about what it does and how it works is David Killerman, Senior Software Developer here at Ucommerce. Over to you, David.
Thank you. So let's see if technology agrees and I can share my screen. And hopefully you are seeing my presentation. So yes, my name is David, and we're going to talk a bit about this new integration with Elasticsearch. And let's get straight into it. So first of all, I'm going to cover sort of similar to Esben, what is Bolt, a bit of a recap on what is the point of this project that we call Bolt. Then I'm going to move on to talking about the main goals for us as to why did we even begin working on this in the first place. And of course, what are the benefits for you as a partner or as a customer of Ucommerce. Then I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about the performance of the provider. And I'm going to close off with a few notable features that I thought were going to be worth mentioning here today. So what is Project Bolt and what was the idea behind it? It was to provide a unified and revised API layer for surfacing data to the customer. So to get product information on your website available, and the keyword here is being fast, as well as in many different ways, be that your product listing on your website or your search capabilities. To take this one step further, of course, this is done by, among other things, by introducing modern technologies underneath the hood. So that's in short what Bolt wants to cover. So let's get down into the details and specifically about Elasticsearch. So first I will cover what our main goals were with the implementation, and hopefully cover when and why should you use this provider over its alternative. The first and probably the main driving force behind this integration was scalability. As Sir mentioned before, with the Lucene provider, those who run on multiple Ucommerce servers or multiple website servers are not really being tooled correctly. It's not really going to work out with the Lucene provider. So we knew we needed an alternative, and Elasticsearch is that alternative to that. Apart from that, there is a different scaling option that I thought was worth mentioning, which was if your website is particularly search heavy or important promotions are coming up, then the Elasticsearch provider makes it possible so that you can scale your search, the Elasticsearch server, independently from even your Ucommerce server. So even if you are running Ucommerce on a singular server, it might be worth looking into using Elasticsearch. And the third point here is, even though it's not directly related to scalability, I thought I would mention the cloud tooling, because there are a lot of great tools that come with using Elasticsearch as an underlying technology, which you might be interested in if you are taking your web shop to that next level of when you are actually monitoring and analyzing your traffic, you're backing up your indexes, different deployment regions, etc., etc. So take these with a grain of salt, but I try to draft up a few rules of thumb as to why or when would you use Elasticsearch provider versus the Lucene provider. And what we can see is that upwards towards and above 100,000 products, the Elasticsearch provider becomes far more performant than the Lucene provider. Of course, this will widely depend on the configuration of your data. Many products, few products, how much information do you store on those products? But this is just a rule of thumb that you might follow. Of course, if you are running a multi-server setup, it's pretty much a given that you're going to be using the Elasticsearch provider. And of course, if you have a technical preference for the tooling, or if you or one of your developers just loves working with Elasticsearch, I think that's also a pretty good reason to pick this over the alternative. To move on, the other main goal, and I only have two of these, was the easy setup, the ease of setup for you to be able to switch from one provider to the other. And we tried to make this as simple as possible by using the Ucommerce app. So if you've been around with Ucommerce prior to version 9 or version 9, you will have an idea of what this means, but I will also show it here in a second. Another point to this is transparent and flexible configuration. So one of the terms that we use a lot when talking about this provider is opt-in complexity. It means that if you want to use this, you can opt in, but of course, because of its power, it comes with some responsibility. It comes with some configuration necessary on your part. And what this means is that we wanted Ucommerce to get in your way as little as possible when you're configuring your Elasticsearch server. So we didn't want to abstract any of the options away. And what this means in broad strokes is that, for example, if you have developers who have previously connected .NET applications to Elasticsearch, they will have a pretty good idea of what needs to be done here in order to have Ucommerce work with Elasticsearch as well. And of course, we provide the default setup to match the default setup of Elasticsearch itself if you need to get up fast and, for example, for a customer demo or a user acceptance test or something similar. The important bit here is that you can toggle between these two providers easily and without having to make changes to your code. And this is one of the crucial points for us. So next up, I'm going to try to see if I can learn a new way a live demo can go wrong. Hopefully, you can see my browser here, and I have the new and shiny Avenue Clothing 2 running on my local instance here. And all this data, all these products, the category navigation in the top, the search is powered by Lucene. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go to my file explorer, and I'm going to go ahead and disable the Lucene provider, and I'm simply going to enable the Elasticsearch provider. I'm going to, of course, restart my application pool as part of this. And then I'm going to log into the administration interface of Ucommerce, and I'm going to index everything from scratch. Now, this is, of course, necessary because all my data is currently residing on the file system in Lucene. I need to get that data into Elasticsearch somehow. And this is done by indexing everything. So now, if I refresh my Umbraco 8 site here, instantly, all this new information is now coming from my Elasticsearch cluster, be that locally, be that hosted in the cloud, be that across multiple instances. And you have access to all the information that you have otherwise, all the powerful features of faceted search, full text search, suggestions. Right. So that was my short little demo for today. I'm going to move on to performance. So I mentioned before, performance is a feature, and I wanted to highlight what changes in performance can you expect when moving from the Lucene provider to the Elasticsearch provider, because there are differences. What I'm not covering here is a performance comparison with pre-version 9 Ucommerce speeds, but hopefully the numbers speak for themselves enough that you can sort of make that comparison, even if not accurately, but I hope you'll see how fast this actually is. So first off, I'm going to cover the indexing performance, and this is what we call the non-critical performance of the application. This is the act of preparing all your data so that it can be searched by many, many customers over and over as fast as possible. This is where we actually usually prefer to take a performance hit over when actually searching. And what we can see in general, and take these performance charts with a grain of salt, because again, it depends, and it might even change version to version as we improve in the future. But what we see is that indexing with the Elasticsearch provider actually is considerably faster than indexing with the Lucene provider. So in the time that it takes the new provider to index 10,000 products, that's how much time it takes Lucene to index 1,000 products. Now, the critical performance, the search performance, is a little more cloudy than that. This is the performance that is actually getting data, getting products ready to be displayed for your customers. This is where it's really important for things to be fast. And that's why we're talking in milliseconds here. So what we notice from our testing is that similar or better performance is actually achieved with the Elasticsearch provider. The more you scale upwards in terms of amount of data, the more the Elasticsearch provider and underlying technology starts to shine more and more. So at this point, you might be asking, okay, but then why would I ever actually use the Lucene provider? Because this looks better. Well, there are a few things that are worth considering, regardless if you're a small or a big web shop. One of them is deployment cost. Because Elasticsearch needs an active server somewhere, be that on-premise or in Elastic Cloud, it will incur a cost of hosting that instance, a recurring cost of hosting that instance. So if, for example, if you're a very small shop, that cost might not actually be worth for you. Another point worth mentioning is latency. Because Elasticsearch is its own server, there is an inherent latency to every single request sent between your web shop and between Elasticsearch. Now, this is generally not a big deal in modern technologies, but it can be just that tiny amount of time that makes it worth or not worth using the Elasticsearch provider. And the third one, obviously, complexity. So, like I said before, we try to make it as simple as possible, but you do need a developer for a brief amount of time to configure, firstly, the actual server, the search server, and secondly, Ucommerce to connect to it. So there are definitely many web shops that might actually see the Lucene provider as the better option. Now to hop into the last bit, which is some of the features that I thought highlighting, and obviously I'm not going to go through all of the features that we have, just some that I thought were worth mentioning. And let's start with the obvious one. All the built-in search capabilities that you are used to from version 9, or some of them even from prior, full text search, fuzzy search, powerful faceted search, and suggestions are all present. And again, switching between the two providers doesn't incur any kind of development on you. So you can switch between the two without you having to change your queries, the indexes, the logical indexes, and or the index definitions. Another feature that we strive for to provide out of the box was A/B toggling. And what this means is that we have implemented this so that you don't have to. And it means that by default, for example, if your web shop is dependent on imports, or at least periodic imports. So you often import data, which then needs to be indexed to Elasticsearch. During that time, obviously, the web shop needs to keep functioning. And that is what this allows us and you to have. And lastly, one of the outlying features is the raw queries. And I think this is pretty neat because Elasticsearch is very, very powerful. And it has a lot of features that we have not, perhaps yet, covered in the provider. So if you or your developers in the company have experience with Elasticsearch, or your requirements, your customer requirements need something else than what is provided out of the box, and you want to leverage some of those strong features that Elasticsearch has, we actually have an API that you can call with actual Elasticsearch queries, essentially in a way bypassing Ucommerce to do as little processing on that as possible. So you can say, okay, Ucommerce, you do your thing, but I want exactly this feature in this way. And I think that does it for me today. So I'm going to hand it back to Søren for more awesome stuff.
Thank you for that, David. There are a bunch of questions, most of them answered in text. So, but there is one that I would like to pose to you here, and there was a question about migration. So going from version 9x previous to 9.4, is there any breaking changes that the customers and developers should be aware of before upgrading?
So yes, there are a few actually introduced with 9.4. Most of them are related to us making the syntax better for you, easier to use, more robust. And then some of them are sort of unrelated, getting rid of some old obsolete methods finally, and providing alternatives for those. So there are a few breaking changes, but for those who want to migrate, we will have all of these changes documented in our release notes and in documentation, so that you can read through that and you can easily follow that. The changes are not major, safe to say.
Excellent, thank you, David. I can supplement David's information and tell you that we do have customers already running on 9.4. on the beta version even, because these requirements, these features were so valuable that they decided to jump the gun, and they were able to upgrade an existing 9.3 version to 9.4 without much problems. We simply handed the documentation over and they were able to complete the process on their own. So we do have running installations for this, so really good stuff. One thing that I'd like to add is that some of the changes that we made also affected the Lucene provider in a positive way. So when David showed you the indexing speeds, showing Lucene, significantly slower in indexing than Elastic, I can tell you that it's still faster than the previous implementation of Lucene. In fact, we're able to optimize indexing speeds with Lucene up to 33%. So it is also worth upgrading to 9.4 if you don't intend using Elastic, because there are some nice benefits in there in addition to the refinements in the bold syntax as well. But that's all detailed in the release notes, so check them out if you're interested in the itty-bitty details. That is scalability. It is the first time that we can introduce enterprise-level scalability with Ucommerce. It is the first time that we can sort of democratize a feature that's rarely found in a platform like for the mid-market like Ucommerce. So I think you're really going to get some bang for the buck out of this one. In addition, Elasticsearch is an awesome search engine. So you get some additional nice full text search queries. And it's worth mentioning the unified API that covers everything from full text search, facets, standard queries. It's all the same thing. And of course, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. Opt-in complexity means that you can go with a simple provider for scenarios where you do not need scalability and all that. And then later on, you can switch over and use the advanced features of Elasticsearch. So thank you very much to David and to the rest of the team for this. There's been a lot of investment made into the platform to enable this for you. And we can't wait to get it into your hands so you can try it out and see how awesome it is. Now, that's the 3 pillars of Ucommerce 9.4. Awesome new multi-channel capabilities to enable you to manage a higher number of stores before in a more efficient way. New mode of navigation in product, so you can either navigate through navigating your catalogs or searching for products right there in the backend. And finally, enterprise level scalability based on Elasticsearch. Now for the next bit here, we have a special appearance for you. So here to announce something that the customer success has been working on for a good while is Morten Skjoldager, our dear customer success manager. So I want to hand it over to Morten so he can tell you about some of the awesome things they've been working on. Over to you, Morten.
Thank you, Søren, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Morten, and I'm the Customer Success Manager at Ucommerce. I think that a lot of you know me already via different channels. I'm here to share something that we have been working on for the past couple of months. Unfortunately, I don't have an awesome demo like David and Esben, but I hope you can bear over with me on this one regardless. So I'll just share my screen for a brief moment, and then you should hopefully see my presentation. In the customer success team, we have been working hard on the training and certification, which is of course something that a lot of you has been requesting, so you can learn how to use Ucommerce in an efficient way. And that's what I'm here to announce very briefly. Good. So training is something that we have had for a long time. Unfortunately, we haven't had an upgrade to V9, but that's something that are coming momentarily. Training is important for all our partners because it helps them take them from a blank canvas to a fully functional store. And just like the previous training for V9 is free for everyone. So we want to onboard as many new developers to the platform as possible, so it will excel their learning curve very, very much when they do the training. The training, as always, will be a focus on the APIs and how you can leverage Ucommerce together with the CMS of your choice. So you will still be able to learn how to use the CMS and Ucommerce in our best of breed approach. So you can learn how to bootstrap your pages in the CMS while you focus on using the commerce APIs and all the good capabilities that Bolt brought to you in V9. So if you have already done training on V8, upgrading to V9, you will learn how to facilitate all the features of Bolt in depth. Training will be self-paced at your own convenience. So we have a recording of all the different exercises and all the good material that we have created for you. So you can sit down whenever it makes sense for you, simply go through it one by one and learn at the pace of your convenience. We have also made it a little bit easier to get started with training. So training now is a simple one-click installation via NuGet, which means that when you install the training material, you will get everything down in your solution, including Ucommerce and including the CMS as well, which will make it less error prone and less tedious to set up a training session for you. So getting started with this is very, very easily. With the training, we have decided to split the new training course into different portions and different topics. So the version 1 of our Ucommerce training course will be the Ucommerce Developer Essentials. And what that will teach you is going from a blank canvas in your CMS to a fully functional store with everything related to navigation, to faceted search, to adding to a cart, to checkout flows, sending emails, and all that great stuff that are essential for every web shop whatsoever. Besides this, we are of course very happy to also introduce and learn you how to work with more advanced topics featured in our Bolt APIs, where you will be able to learn how to use full text search, fuzzy search, faceted search, and a combination of the two as well. So it really takes your training to the next level with Ucommerce. Part of this training that we are shipping is created as non-developer or non-tech content, which means that you will learn the concepts of the platform in a more human, understandable way without looking at code, without talking about SQL servers or anything like that. So you can pass parts of the training material on to your end users that are going to use the store on a day-to-day basis. And we will also eventually create a specialized training course that focuses only on that. But for now, we're shipping the Ucommerce Essentials to developers. This will be all available on March 31, so coming very, very soon. I'm very excited about it, and so are the rest of my colleagues. It will be featured with the 9.4, which means that it will be up to date with the latest version of the platform, and we can continuously improve on the training and on the versioning for Ucommerce as well. So there will always be a compatible version for the latest Ucommerce out there. But training is not all. We know there's also a lot of requests for a certification. So training and certifications in our universe is two different things. Training should help you get started, whereas certification is more a stamp of approval for your clients. So you can tell them, we know how to deal with Ucommerce and we know how to implement this properly. And certification will also be a requirement to move up in the partner program. And for that reason, there will of course also be discounts for gold partners and powerhouses to get started with certification. But the training will always be for free. And then if you want to take it to the next level, you can buy a certification as well. The way that works is that you will buy a certification from us, which will give you a code that you can redeem on our training portal. And in there, you'll be able to take the certification as a multiple choice test, just like, from Microsoft certifications and other certifications that you have previously taken. You will set aside some time and go through the questions. And then when you're done, hopefully you pass. Otherwise, you can buy a new code and try out one more time. So training and certification is coming very, very soon. Certification will also be available on March 31 for all CMSs, together with the training for the developer essentials. And that's not all, actually, because we have a small sneak peek on the training. So memorize this link very quickly before it's gone. Take a picture, write it down, do whatever means necessary, and then you will be taken to YouTube and our playlist for the new masterclass. And here you will get a sneak peek on what to expect with the training. I'm very excited about this. We have been working very hard to get it done, and looking so much forward to handing it over to you. And that's all from me. Thank you for your time, and back to you, Søren.
Thank you very much, Morten. With that, we have Ucommerce 9.4, and we have the all-new training material that will be ready very, very soon. As you know, you can try it out by accessing that particular URL, and maybe Morten will even be so kind as to post it in chat, so you don't have to use your brain. It is great to have all the pieces coming together. The team has worked really, really hard on Ucommerce 9.4 and all the 9x releases. And today is the culmination of bringing enterprise capability to the mix and training new condo UIs as well. And it is also the culmination of moving all the catalog system from the old UIs into the new, so we can deprecate with coming versions the old web forms based UIs. So very, very happy about that. Let's take a look at the last bit here before we let you go and go to QA, and that is the roadmap. So we will be covering the short-term roadmap. What are we doing this year? And we will be covering the onwards journey of Ucommerce. Where are we going in the big scheme of things? So first, the short-term roadmap. So we're in Q1 and we're ready to deliver 9.4. We did encounter a critical issue during the final stages of QA this morning. So we're holding the release a little bit, but we're hoping to release it within the next couple of days once that issue has been stamped out. So we'll be ready very, very soon. New Bolt API enablement of enterprise capability, new catalog UIs. For Q2, we're working on revamping the promotions of Ucommerce. So our UX lead, Urda, has been working with customers and partners for close to a quarter, doing UX research to figure out how we can improve the promotions of Ucommerce. And we have some pretty cool stuff in store for you that will make the promotions engine much more accessible to merchants than what it was before. The primary feedback we've gotten of promotions is that it does have most of the inherent flexibility required for e-commerce. However, the model is a little complex to understand when you try and learn it the first time. So Promotions 2 will basically enable new merchants coming to Ucommerce to much more easily understand what's going on. Brand new UI, new wording of everything, so you know exactly what's going on. It's quite an amazing piece of work, and I can't wait to show you once we ship in the middle of May. For Q3, we're focusing on campaigns within Ucommerce, managing listings and things around promotions. So simple quarter there. And for Q4, we are focusing in on the order management capabilities of Ucommerce, bringing a new, more efficient way of dealing with order management workflows, payments, and all that good stuff. UX is looking into that at the moment, conducting research, figuring out how to work, how digital merchants prefer to work with orders, and are sort of slowly starting to create UI mockups and things like that. I would encourage you, if you're interested in providing feedback to the process, to get in touch with us at feedback@ucommerce.net. Just let us know that you're interested in providing UX feedback for us. It is the only way that we know to build the proper platform for you is by simply having you tell us what it is that you need. We collate all that. And by the way, the feedback email is your sort of open access to the product team. Every Friday at 10 a.m., the product team gets together and triages the incoming feedback and scores it against our roadmaps. So please use that email. I also posted it in chat. So to provide us feedback, it's a great way for us to sort of shape the roadmap going forward to your desires and wishes. So that is the short-term roadmap. We will revamp the promotions engine, then order management, and we will have the major parts of Ucommerce all done up in Vue.js and Condo. So there's one more thing beyond the customer success training material and certification, and that's the onwards journey of Ucommerce. Where do we go from here? It's been 12 years since I founded the company, and we've been doing all right. We've had our ups and downs, but all in all, we've been in business for many years. We have awesome partners, awesome customers, lots of well-known brands working with the platform, but things are changing. So we need to do something new. And fortunately, you, our loyal partners and customers, have been telling us exactly what to do. And before I sort of reveal what it is, let's just talk about how e-commerce has changed over the years. So when I started doing e-commerce back in the early 2000s, multi-channel was all the rage, right? The ability to run not one, but two stores in one solution. And so Ucommerce was actually designed to deal with that. But over the years, the multi-channel capability has turned into omni-channel, which basically just means e-commerce enabling everything. And so over the years, e-commerce has become vital across not just your website, but systems, apps, and other channels as well. And I would posit that e-commerce is the new infrastructure of the web. It underpins many things, commerce enabling, transaction enabling, games and apps and all sorts of things. So it is a new category of infrastructure on the web. And we need to support that, of course. So how are we going to do that? Well, it's very simple. We're going to the cloud. And why? Well, basically to make Ucommerce and all of our infrastructure available for all these channels, which may or may be not be .NET. They may be apps written for iOS or Android. They may be kiosks running in store. They may be websites. They may be Facebook feeds, all sorts of things. We need to go to the cloud and create a headless offering that will make all of the capabilities available across all these channels. We also need to enable the ease of rolling out new channels because there are many, many more of them as we go forward. And that's basically what we aim to do. Today, I'm super excited to announce that we have closed a round of funding and we have started hiring for a second product team at Ucommerce so we can commence this journey. It's going to be a long haul over the next 3 to 5 years. We're going to turn Ucommerce into something completely new. And as with any good plan, ours has 3 steps for you to look forward to. And the first step we hope to complete this year. And it is to turn Ucommerce into a headless platform. The reason being that we have a commerce platform with lots of awesome APIs and things like that, but they are tied to .NET today. Moving Ucommerce into a headless offering means that the Ucommerce capabilities can be made available across channels and technologies in a much more seamless way. So you do not have to wrap it yourself or use .NET to build your solutions. It's your choice. The second step of the plan is to turn the headless capability of Ucommerce, basically the Ucommerce you know today with headless APIs on top, into a managed cloud solution, which means we will take the hassle out of managing and upgrading and just basically dealing with hosting Ucommerce for you to make it easier to deal with, and also for us to be able to roll out new capabilities to you in a much more rapid fashion than what we can do today, where we ship a package, you install it, you upgrade and all that. That will still be the case here, but you will also have the option of having us deal with it for you. The third step, and this is the most significant one, is to turn Ucommerce into a cloud-native offering. The idea here being that we want to be able to scale with you as our customers and partners from a business perspective and a technology perspective. So it means breaking Ucommerce apart into discrete, separate pieces that you can adopt at your own pace. So maybe you only need a catalog system. Great, use our catalog service. Maybe you only need a price service or a promotion service or one of the myriad of services we're going to offer. Adopt those at your own pace and your own leisure and get as much bang for the buck. So that's from a capability perspective. From a business perspective, from a pricing perspective, our goal is to better be able to scale with you as a customer. So we won't have just one price point for Ucommerce. We'll have, a consumption-based approach to leveraging our capabilities. So if you're a small merchant that wants to leverage the awesome capabilities of Ucommerce, you can, and it won't, cost an arm and a leg. And as you grow into the platform, you'll be able to scale with us, adopting more and more of the capabilities you need. And so basically just in a sort of a controlled ascent, as it were. So our goal going forward over the next 3 years is the following. We want to make sure Ucommerce is used for mission-critical e-commerce. So it's important for us to work with merchants and partners who have e-commerce as a core part of their business. So as a partner, it means we want to work with integration partners that basically offer Ucommerce and e-commerce as a strategic part of their offering. Same thing for the merchants we work with. We want to make sure that Ucommerce is used as a mission-critical piece of the business. And we want to do this for mid-sized merchants. We're not trying to reach the lowest of the low end. We're not trying to reach the highest peaks of enterprise. We're trying to sit right there in the middle and service mid-sized merchants in the best way that we know how. We've been doing this for many years. So this is essentially a continuation and an amplification of what we've been doing for many years. We will continue doing this through partners. This is the only way we know how to go to market. So partners are today a key piece, the only way that we go to market, and it will continue to be the case because you know your customers and markets much better than we do. We can provide the infrastructure, we can enable you with training and certification, all that good stuff, customer success, but we will continue to deliver solutions with you and through you. We want to make sure Ucommerce is used across websites, apps, systems, and other channels. So that means headless, it means cloud, it means Ucommerce must be available to a much wider range of types of solutions than what is the case today. And finally, we will do it over the next 3 years, leveraging the funding we have to build out new product teams and new services for you. So we do it in a fast and timely manner. So what does the timeline look like? Well, you'll notice there at the bottom left that it says March 2021. That's right around the corner. That is, in fact, on Monday. And I'm happy to announce that we're actually a little bit ahead of schedule. Of course, we have the existing roadmap that we need to continue to implement. We still need to do promotions. We still need to do order management. All the things that we've been talking about still need to come into effect. So we need to do something to make sure we arrive at our destination in a timely fashion. And this is where we're a little ahead of the goal. So the first step that starts in March is to establish a headless team to work exclusively on the new headless capabilities for Ucommerce that you can deploy on existing Ucommerce solutions within the CMS of your choice. We just signed the first contract for this team this morning, so I'm very happy about that. It's pretty amazing to be able to do that. In just a couple of days, we're able to start the hiring process and bring on the first dev. We'll start in April, and of course we will hire more to build out this headless team so we can start building out the headless APIs for Ucommerce. They will work on top and in conjunction with the existing platform, and you can adopt them at your own leisure. We do recommend that once the headless APIs ship, they will ship in a piecemeal fashion, catalog, price, and so on and so forth. We will make them available as quickly as we can in the pieces, in the discrete services that they represent. But they will show you the future of what Ucommerce will become. These APIs will essentially become the way that you speak to Ucommerce over time. Once we've delivered the headless APIs towards the end of the year, that's the goal. Fingers crossed, you never know, but that is the plan so far. We will move on to porting Ucommerce to .NET Core. Umbraco 9 is coming out with their .NET Core version in April, and that is the first time that the new extensibility will be available. Sitefinity is going to .NET Core with SDKs. The same thing is true for Sitecore. For us, it means the entire Ucommerce engine will turn into a .NET Core product. There will be no native .NET no old .NET Anywhere, no 4.7 compatibility or anything like that. .NET Core, that's it. Before we do that though, we need to establish a third team, which we call the cloud team. So there will be three separate product tracks going on, one to support the core, the existing roadmap, one to support the headless team, and a third team to support our cloud efforts. The goal with the cloud team is to build infrastructure around Ucommerce to enable us to start building the Ucommerce managed cloud. The idea with this is to basically make Ucommerce available in the cloud so you can leave all the hosting and the upgrades and all the hassles of managing a Ucommerce solution to us if you want. You will also be able to run Ucommerce on-prem like you can today. And we hope to deliver that beginning 2023. We are, far out. So again, just to set expectations, a lot of things can happen, but that is the goal. And we're staffing up to make sure we can meet that goal. But again, let's see how it goes. And then finally in 2023, we will start turning Ucommerce into a cloud native offering, which means basically separating platform into various different services. The headless APIs that we're launching this year will show you what it's going to look like, what the pieces will be, and that headless component will be your migration path going forward. So as we ship new versions of Ucommerce, transitioning to the headless APIs over the next couple of years will be absolutely key in keeping up with the cadence of Ucommerce. So that's the plan. First, we're establishing the headless team. We have the first developer signed and ready to go by April 1st, and we will add more to build that API, and then we'll carry on through with the plan until we have turned Ucommerce into a cloud native SaaS offering a consumption-based model and an ability to adopt Ucommerce in a piecemeal fashion. I'm super excited about this move. It's going to be very, very nice. And I know from a lot of the partners we've been speaking to that this is something you're looking for us to do. So now we're doing it and it's going to be amazing. This is all to lead us towards this goal of making Ucommerce a mission critical part of mid-sized merchants businesses, working with partners to deliver e-commerce across channels, apps, systems, and websites. And we're going to do it over the next 3 years. With that, thank you very much for listening. Today we were introducing Ucommerce 9.4 with multi-channel product search and scalability capabilities. It will be available over the coming days. And we're announcing our journey towards headless and cloud, of which we're hoping to ship the first pieces in 2021 this year. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to click that QA button and ask them. If not, we thank you very much for being part of this webinar. And it is in fact the biggest webinar we've ever done in Ucommerce history. So thank you very much for joining today and making it a big success for all of us at Ucommerce. Thank you very much. Okay, it does not look like we have any additional questions. So I just want to, there is a question. Anders raised his hand and I need to figure out how we see his hand. There are many hands here. Please post your, okay, Anders withdraws his hand. If you have questions, post them in chat, please. And I will make sure and answer them to the best of my ability or bring in one of my talented colleagues if I'm not clever enough to give you a proper answer. All right, perfect. Thank you once again for joining us today for the largest webinar in Ucommerce history and the launch of Ucommerce 9.4, as well as our journey towards cloud. We cannot wait to take you with us on this journey, and please reach out if there's anything we can do to help you out with. Thank you very much and have a great evening.